So I am in a very different kitchen, as you can see here. I am in my new Airbnb in Portland, Oregon, and let us check out this oven together. I am a little scared, and I am absolutely going to sit on the floor and watch my macarons bake because, oh my god. Yeah, so let's do an oven test with some macarons. So I brought a lot of my pastry tools across the country with me, at least all of the essentials that I absolutely had to have. I made sure to find an Airbnb that had an oven so I could continue baking. I brought a lot of, piping tips and my scale and vital ingredients I didn't want to buy again, like vanilla. But then I had to go to some local stores and Target and wherever, to just, supplement that with other ingredients. And then also my Airbnb, I didn't bring any large bowls with me, so I bought some extra bowls at Target as well. But then, it's always really nerve-wracking. Yes, the Airbnb has an oven, but how does it function? Are there hot spots? Am I gonna have to, work on my recipe again? I'm using a hand mixer to make macarons for the first time, and frankly, it is terrifying. I'm so used to my stand mixer. I could make macarons with my old KitchenAid stand mixer with my eyes closed. But this was absolutely new to me. So let me just show you. I'm using the exact same recipe that I always have. It is a French meringue. I'm using room temperature egg whites. I'm going to stream in my sugar and cream of tartar here. Once it gets foamy, I'll continue whipping to stiff peaks. I'll add in my gel food coloring, and then I'll fold in my dry ingredients. All of that is exactly the same, but it's a hand mixer. So usually I make a double of the recipe that I leave in the description box. Or I was when I was in Minneapolis, but now, and especially because this is a test, I am making that exact recipe. So here I have 100 grams of egg whites and then 90 grams of sugar that I'm streaming in. This is not really an ideal bowl, but it is one that was in the Airbnb, and it is glass and clear, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. There's not a ton of counter space, and the lighting is super awkward, so I'm sorry, I apologize. The filming is a little bit less ideal, a little bit not quite as nice to look at as it had been, and I really do apologize for that. I'm figuring it out. So yeah, I'm just gonna show more of this process than I usually do for anyone who is making macs with a hand mixer at home, or who is curious what that process might look like. I'm not gonna show every single moment because, oh boy, does it take longer than usual, and I can't multitask while I'm doing it, and yeah, it was a doozy. So yeah. Just check this out, and let's check back in once my meringue has reached a stiff peak. So finally I'm seeing those tracks as I am whipping my whites. I'm on a higher speed here, and when I lift up my whisk attachment, you can see that I've achieved a stiff peak there. So I'm just gonna go through and fold in my almond flour and powdered sugar until I reach the really nice ribbon stage where I have that batter flowing off of my spatula. Because I'm making a pretty small batch here, that's going to go pretty quickly. And then once I have my batter to the consistency that I want it, I am just going to pipe it onto my silpat. I did bring my silpats with me. I brought a couple of my baking trays from home, my piping tips and all that. So luckily those were not things I had to go out and find. And I'm just, for this test batch, I'm just piping regular old circles. I'm just gonna tap those trays, and before I let them rest, the one thing that I do want to do is add a little bit of pink glitter. I have this edible rose gold glitter and I mixed it with just a little bit of sugar, and I don't really like boring plain shells. It kind of gets to me, especially if there are a lot of them that look just the same. I think it's kind of boring. But my sister-in-law and some of her friends and I were having a twilight viewing party. So these macarons, should they work out, were intended for that. So I just wanted to add a little bit of glitter because, I don't know, it seemed to fit the theme of the evening. So I'm just gonna throw these into the oven, and yes, I literally sat on the floor in front of the oven for the entire duration of their bake time, and I was so pleasantly surprised to find out that they worked. My Airbnb did not have any like oven mitts or hot pads, so I used just a kitchen towel. It really took me back to days of working in a restaurant. It was very nostalgic. I found that besides needing maybe a couple extra minutes, usually back at my Minneapolis kitchen, I was baking my macs for like 15 to 17 minutes. Usually I would start them at like 16 or 16 minutes 30 seconds, something like that. And here I had to do like 18 or 19. I did make an Italian meringue buttercream for my filling, my raspberry filling, and this was the first time to do that with a hand mixer. The buttercream turned out so luscious and wonderful, but it was very stressful pouring the boiling sugar against the side of the bowl with a hand mixer. So next time I'm definitely going to do a Swiss meringue at home. I also don't have a food processor, so I used this coffee bean grinder to grind up some freeze-dried raspberries. Don't worry, I made to clean it really well, so it's not coffee raspberry, it's just raspberry. I just powdered that fruit and then mixed in to that beautiful vanilla buttercream. I mixed in the freeze-dried raspberries, which is something I love to do for both flavor and color. And this flavor is why I chose to do pink for the shells as well. I do, though, even though this flavor is so phenomenal, I do like to add a little bit of jam just for a little bit of a different texture and a burst of extra fresh flavor. So I'm just piping a little ring of buttercream along the outside, and then the raspberry jam is going to go on the inside. So yeah, that was my process. I was able to share these raspberry macs with my family here in Portland. I was so concerned and stressed prior to making and baking these off. What if I carted all of my baking tools across the country, and I chose this Airbnb specifically so I could bake? What if it doesn't work? I was having a lot of concerns about what I was gonna do if I had to figure something else out. So luckily for me, and I guess all of your viewing pleasure, I have been able to bake. This was a huge success. And so I am going to continue making some cool macarons here in Portland. I am hoping to use some local ingredients and make some flavors and things that are maybe a little bit more specific to Portland and the Pacific Northwest. So make sure to stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already. I have a couple more macarons to make that are themed off of the road trip I went on to get from Minneapolis here to Portland. I'm really excited to share that with you. All right, until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.